All right, thank you very much. My name is Gustavo Montero. I'll be moderating this panel. Effectively, I've been advising some of the largest families in the world on cryptos, investments, etc. And perhaps one of the first questions they always ask me is trust. How do we trust what we're doing? So this panel is called The Technology of Trust and Governed Future. The session will dive deep into the trust implications of having decentralized network technology and how can we ensure the level of governance for a sustainable future. We have a very distinguished set of speakers. Jorge Sebastiao, technology thought leader and influencer, am I right? Then Kirill, pronunciation, Mishanin, co-founder of Infodriver Capital, and the great Jane Thomason, who just spoke to us, co-founder of British Blockchain Association. So before we start, I'd like to start from Jane's side. Can you give us just a couple of words on what do you do on a daily basis? What's your job? So that they know what you're doing, and then we can get into this.
Listen, I'm at large in the metaverse. I'm a digital nomad, and right now I'm here.
All right, Kirill?
Yes, as you mentioned, I'm the co-founder of Infodriver Capital. We are a liquidity pool. We provide liquidity to decentralized exchanges. We have capital around $50 million. And profit, we invest in some startups. So we invest in DeFi, Metaverse, and GameFi projects.
Jorge.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. And my name is Jorge Sebastiao. I am a co-founder of EcoX, stands for Ecosystem Connections. I am also CBO for Simba Storage, which is a cold storage solution to add extra trust to the protection of digital securities like, for example, Bitcoin. I am also director in several projects, one being, for example, Aureus Holding Group, which is hosted here in Abu Dhabi, ADGM.
So as you can see, we have quite a heavy load of knowledge here on the right. So I'm just going to be asking you some questions. They're open, they're wide questions really, and the idea is that you give your points on each one of the questions one by one. The first one is DLTs offer the potential to circumvent reliance on traditional centralized actors and institutions as our primary points of trust. Now, do each one of you believe that the events in the last year have incentivized blockchains for average users? What's happening to the average investor vis-a-vis trust, given what happened last year? Jorge, why don't you start with that?
Well, the internet was not built on security right in, so this technology was added and bolted on, which made it very difficult to make trust. So about 10 years or so ago, we used the same technology that is part of cybersecurity, and we introduced it into the metaverse and the digital world that we have today as a technology developed from the ground up. And this is what we know today as blockchain. Blockchain is a technology of trust and is used to power different other utilities. One example, obviously, is Bitcoin, is Ethereum, is the second one. However, although blockchain is a technology of trust and is based on very strong mathematics and cybersecurity elements, when we're trying to protect something, we must not protect just one element, in this case the blockchain. We must protect all the elements of the solution. And what are all the elements of the solution? Yes, it's the blockchain, but it's also the mobile application that you use, the internet browser that you use. It's also the wallet where you might store your digital signatures that interact with the blockchain. And if any of these elements is not secure, or we do not provide enough security awareness to the end user, which tends to be the weakest link in the chain, then we end up into problems. And those problems meant that something like last year, we lost over $2 billion in cyber attacks and hacks of digital assets. With digital assets, it's much more easier to steal the money. With physical money, we need a truck. $1 billion weighs a lot of, you need a big truck. $1 billion in digital currency doesn't weigh anything. It fits in your little pocket right here. So it's very easy to take away from you.
Kirill, so how do you see the trust in blockchain technologies vis-a-vis this last year that we've had? Very difficult year for all of us.
So, time changing. So in 2017, there was a boom of ICO, and 99% of projects they collect a lot of money and disappeared. So huge amount of investment money was stolen by some projects without their probably willingness. Probably they doesn't want to do it, but this was a real situation. So we as a fund, we try to protect investors' money. First of all, we track the team who is doing the startup. We track the code from top audit smart contract companies. And once they establish a product, we try to support them go-to-market strategy. We try to do listing, market making, PR, so all the stuff. If you just put money into some startup, probably they succeed, probably no, 90% of them fail. If you push them like a baby to the grown up, so you could be quite successful, because cool startups which raise capital, they could do X10 in profit within short period of time. Blockchain itself, it's super trust technology, but the problem is that people, they put data, and they could put wrong data or correct data. That's why if you would like to invest, first of all, do not invest in crypto. Second one, if you 100% decided to invest, track the project, track the team, and try to invest those money which you plan to lose.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. As a matter of fact, tell you what, we issue our own cryptocurrency in my company a week ago. And there's a lot of people investing in Shibu, that's the name of the cryptocurrency. But there's a lot of people that call me and say, shall I invest? And I say, if you don't know anything about it, do not invest. Find out what's going on, and then you go for it. So I agree with you. Jane, what's your view on trust and what happened last year?
So let's just take a step back and think about what happened over the last 18 months. So one is we all got locked in, and so that meant that all the developers and all the innovators, they just stayed home and then they built amazing things. So I think first of all, we've seen incredible innovation over the last year. The second thing is that if you look at Chain Analysis' latest report, they're going to tell you first of all that growth in crypto over the last year was 800%. Growth in crypto in the Middle East was 1,800%. But it's also going to show you that the top 20 countries in the world with the proportion of the population that own crypto are nearly all developing countries. It's Nigeria, it's South Africa, it's Indonesia, it's Brazil. And the greatest number of peer-to-peer transactions that are going on are in emerging economies. The biggest movement of money is through institutional investors in DeFi, and that's movement of $10 million or more. So what you're seeing as a pattern is that people in emerging economies are using this because it's absolutely solving problems that they've got. And in particular, Afghanistan went from number 110 in the world in ownership of crypto to number 27. Because of the crisis and because people turn to crypto as a store of value. So I think we're seeing a number of different things happening, but institutional investors are moving in. People are getting serious about this as an asset class.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, on the spot on that one, absolutely. Now, the next question, I think that it will be interesting for all our panel members, for you as auditors as well, and it reminds me of the following. I moved into the crypto space about 10 years ago because I'm an engineer. But I didn't come from an engineering environment. I was the CEO of one of the largest banks in Switzerland. And I moved into this space because I'm an engineer, and it was a natural step. Now, the issue that we have right now is in the old banking world, there were questions of trust. No doubt that many banks are not doing the job right. We all know that. So the question is, are we doing the job right in the area of blockchain and cryptocurrency? So the question reads, how do blockchain developers ensure their technology avoids creating the same trust breaches that traditional institutions did, the one I came from. So maybe from Jorge's end.
See, at the end of the day, it's all about balance, and balance means you must trust, but you also must verify. When we talk about trust, it's a continuous process, and what does that really mean? With blockchain, and more specifically digital currencies, I like to differentiate between the two because blockchain is a technology and it has many applications. It can be used in government systems, it can be used in healthcare or transportation systems, and it can also be used to power digital currencies and investments and fintech organizations. But in all of these use cases, we need to do the same thing that we have done in traditional systems in the past. The first one, we must build security as part of the design. That means all the elements that are part of the system. And it's not just the blockchain, as I mentioned before, it's the mobile app. This is your device of choice today, but being this device of choice, there's many vulnerabilities, maybe in the, for example, iPhone or Android operating system, maybe in the WhatsApp that you prefer as a messaging system or WeChat, depending on your choice. If that specific application or operating system gets breached and your wallet or your keys are here, the entire system breaks down. The big advantage with the blockchain is that you become your own bank. There's the famous saying, not your keys, not your crypto. So that really means you as a user end up with a lot more responsibility. But with responsibility, you need to have awareness and knowledge to take care of that. And what we're doing is we're helping you do that by doing some training. We're helping you by creating extra mechanisms in case something goes wrong. I'll give you some examples. As you know, many millions of dollars have been lost today, not because somebody hacked them, it's just because somebody forgot a password. If you forget the password to your digital wallet, it's gone forever. Nobody can help you. So that really means there's technologies that enable you to secure that. One example is called multi-signature. That means instead of having just one signature to the wallet, you have two. You forget the password, we use the recovery one to get back your assets. We have something called cold storage. And cold storage is actually different types of wallets. When we talk about wallets, there's different types. We call hot wallets that are live, warm, that tend to be used in exchanges. We have cold, and we have what we usually call frozen wallets that typically are not attached to any technology, and this ensures that you have complete safety. So when we build all these systems together, even that is not enough. What do you really need is you ever heard in real estate the term location, location, location? If you want security, you need to audit. Means you need to audit everything. You need to audit the mobile, you need to audit the wallet, you need to audit the blockchain, you need to audit the smart contract, you need to audit the application that runs on top of all of this. And you need to do it not just once, you need to do it continuously. Because the vulnerabilities change over time. What is not possible today will be possible tomorrow. Let me give you one example. Many of you have heard about what we call quantum risk. Well, yes, quantum computers are coming. They're not quite yet there, but the moment that they are, we're going to have to change all this blockchain technology to be quantum resistant so that we can protect ourselves against this extra power of computer that can break the keys that today make us safe. So it's a continuous process, and it's like a race that never finishes.
Yeah, I just want to give you an example of something that happened to one of my clients yesterday that was investing very heavily into Shibu, into our own cryptocurrency. She couldn't do it. And the reason why was the age of the phone. It's a very interesting situation. So the phone she has is just not capable of doing what needs to be done for her to invest in a cryptocurrency. And I didn't know that. My technicians told me about it. But there are some important things that we need to fix at that level. Kirill, what's your view on that?
Actually, the blockchain and cryptocurrency itself gives a huge window to wealth. So if you are a smart team, 2-3 people, Solidity developer, you could easily open crypto company and everywhere in the world, in Estonia, in DMCC, in Mauritius Island, wherever. So you could connect to your community, you could explain the value of your product, you could collect $1 million with short period of time, you could build cool tech, integrate into the market, conquer the market, and it's because of easy connection to wealth, easy connection to the crypto, easy connection to the people who are ready to buy with crypto and sell with crypto. For example, me personally, I purchase apartment for crypto. I pay my taxes, I pay for my company in crypto. All my salary, all my team, it's in crypto. Before, it was the same, but it was a hard connection to wealth. You go to bank, you need to have credit score. I work for my credit score in US like a couple years. Only right now I need credit. I could take a credit, but I don't need it anymore. So this is the huge step, and the government who integrate blockchain and who legalize the crypto processing will be the breakthrough in finance, because the whole developers around the globe, like what happened right now with Dubai and MENA region, will fly from their hometowns. I fly from LA. It was cool place before in digital. Right now it doesn't do anything. They moved to Texas, they moved to Puerto Rico to quit from taxes.
I think it goes back to processes as well, huh? Processes in what we're doing. So Jane, what's your view on this?
Well, if you're like me, you really shouldn't have a wallet. So what I need to say is I bought my first Bitcoin in 2017. I lost that phone. Then I bought another wallet, I lost the private key. And then I bought another one and I lost that phone. And so then I concluded that all of these security measures notwithstanding, I am not the sort of person who should have my crypto on my phone. So I'm so relieved that now there are investment vehicles opening up that you can actually give your money to someone else and they can invest in crypto for you. So I'm on the board of a company called Kasai's blockchain, which registered in London on the Aquis Stock Exchange about 6 weeks ago, and it's just for people like me who can't look after their crypto, but they want to have some of their assets invested in it, and you can invest in this regulated security on the Aquis Stock Exchange in London. But there's loads more things like that. So, like, I get pained when I hear about what you need to do with your wallet, but if you're new and you want to have some of your assets in crypto, you can, and there are different organisations already regulated on stock exchanges around the world that you can put your money into.
Yeah, thank you very much. Perfect. So the next question, just to give some context to it. So one of the companies we have produces cryptocurrencies as a way of financing companies. That's what we do. For finance companies through cryptocurrencies, we built around the companies the cryptos that are needed for their financing. But the other one is an asset management company. We manage cryptocurrencies for third-party clients. Pretty much every time a new client comes in, he asks us, are you concerned or do you have any concerns about these technologies that you're working with? So the question is for all of you, and I'll start from Jane this time, is what are the points of concern in current blockchain technologies? What are we concerned about? What are the issues that we think that we need to fix or whatever on the technology side?
Well, look, I think there's a few points of concern. I mean, I think, speed, scalability, interoperability, and energy consumption would be the ones that I think about most. And, you had Alinga Tayed here before saying that none of them are scalable. He might be right, he might be wrong, but we've got a long way to go, and I think those are the kinds of things that we need to be concerned about.
Thank you, Jane. Kirill.
So we as an asset management company, which established as a blockchain company at the beginning, so no any companies like license or whatever, we just receive crypto and we invest crypto and we pay interest to our investors. Second step, we apply to venture capital license. So it means the key concerns from big money, they would like to invest in breakthrough technology like DeFi, Metaverse, or GameFi, but they need to invest on their level. VC to VC, government to government, etc., etc. That's why from small startup to venture capital fund in short period of time. This is our route. The main concerns, what exactly strategy you are using for our wealth management. Because sometimes you see a lot of advertising or some friends say to you, oh, you invest $1, you will have $300 in 1 quarter, let's do it. But have you checked the smart contract? Have you checked the team? Have you checked the risk management? Do they have enough capital or whatever? So this is concerns from real investors.
Yeah, I agree. So basically what you're saying is, in this case, concerns have to do with transparency. How transparent are we as professionals in the blockchain and cryptocurrency environment towards our clients? It's very, very good. Jorge, what's your point on that?
Actually, there are several points. First one, I guess, in line with what Janie said, is energy consumption. And today we're focusing on specific blockchains like Bitcoin to what we're creating, what we call green Bitcoins. It's not really green, but it means they're produced using greener technologies like, for example, flare gas, hydroelectricity, or solar powered as an example. But this is only one of the solutions. Other solutions by using what we call different and more efficient consensus mechanisms. So instead of what we call proof of work, which consumes a lot of energy, so you can make it green, but it still consumes a lot, you can use, for example, proof of stake and many others. There's today over 100 consensus mechanisms. And those consensus mechanisms, many of them have much better performance and consume much less energy. The second point that I think is extremely important is the throughput or the performance or the scalability. Bitcoin does about 7 transactions per second. Ethereum does about 20. This is very limited capability in the real world. So the way we're fixing it is in very different ways. For example, in Bitcoin, we're fixing it by using a layer 2 technology known as the Lightning Network that allows you to do thousands of transactions per second. Other new, more modern blockchains allow you to do up to millions of transactions per second, which means that you can now use these blockchains to power things like smart cities or intelligent cities that we're trying to build today. So more useful, not just cryptocurrencies. We have to use this technology in the real world. However, I still believe the biggest challenge today is not a technological one, is a usability one. And you gave the example about the person not being used at their mobile, or for example, a wallet is too difficult to use or too difficult to install. The best blockchain solution in the future will be the one that you use it, but you do not know you're using it. So when we reach that level, that means it's so friendly that it becomes intuitive, then we will increase what do I call or achieve massive adoption. It's like when you get into a car or you get into another car, you don't have to look too much around. You know exactly what to do next. But this is natural, and this happens all the time. Let me give you an example from the old days in Canada over 30 years ago. By nature, people do not trust technology, and this is when they introduced the ATM machine. Before ATMs, people used to use a little booklet, and when they go into the bank, they update, and that was the status of their bank account. When banks introduced ATMs, people did not trust ATMs anyway. So when they did the transaction in the ATM, because the bank forced them to do, the old citizen, 60 years old, used to run back into the bank and update that little booklet, because that was their statement. That was the true state of their account. That's the only piece of paper they actually trust. So once we reach that level in the blockchain through modern DApp or decentralized applications, more friendly GUIs, then I think we will achieve a much better adoption across the world.
Thank you very much. I like the audience to appreciate how deep this panel is going to these subjects. We're diving very deep, and I like that because it's important that we're transparent and we tell the audience what's really going on. Next question. I'm glad that it's starting with Jane because it touches something. I heard your conversation earlier, Jane, and this is about impact on society, and she gave a very interesting point of view about that. So the question reads as follows. In a DLT system, the creation of trust is shifted to the technology and distributed network of users to ensure transparency and immutability. Have these developments triggered a new attitude towards socio-technical systems, and how might that impact society as a whole? How is this impacting society, Jane?
Look, I think that we're starting to see some really incredible things happening. So, one of the big moves during the pandemic was this rise of the play-to-earn games. And this is absolutely phenomenal. And the reason why is because it's creating new income opportunities for people who didn't have these opportunities before. So it became famous in the Philippines because families were playing Axie Infinity and earning maybe $400 a week and putting food on the tables of their families when the government had shut them down. And if you look at what's happening with the growth of that, not only the people who had the Axies and played them were making money, they figured out that they could subcontract these Axies, if I could use that term, to Axie scholars. So you've got no Axies, you've got no money, but you want to play, I'm going to give you my Axies, you play them for me, you keep 70%, I'll keep 30%. And so now there's millions of Axie scholars around the world in Indonesia and Brazil and the Philippines and Thailand and Vietnam who are earning money through these games. And this is just the beginning of a world where we're creating new token economies that people hadn't thought about before. So that's the first thing. And we've got play to earn, we've got learn to earn, and we've got another one, Geno Pets, where you exercise and your pet grows and becomes more valuable. So there's all of these new ways of creating these economies that people can benefit from. That's the one. The second one is we're moving to community-owned economies, and we're particularly seeing this in games because traditionally the corporation made the game, put it out there, you played it. But what's happening with these blockchain token economies and the NFTs and the ability to be able to exchange assets within games is that it's the players and the developers who are playing the games, earning the money from the games, and deciding the direction that the games will go. So we're moving from corporation to community. And these are just two of the really interesting changes that are taking place during the last couple of years.
Interesting. Thank you, Jane. That's very deep and very interesting what you're saying. Kirill, how about your view on the impact on society of this new technology, which, by the way, we're only talking about cryptocurrencies here. Let's be very clear that blockchain technologies is applicable to a number of other industries. But anyway, what's your view of the impact on society?
So I see three impact for society. First of all, connection to wealth management, as I mentioned before. Second, huge amount of new jobs in blockchain development, in marketing. And third one is charity. Just believe how many projects will be in future connected to charity. For example, right now NFTs is just the pictures. You sell, resell. The more market you go, you market the money you invest, the more you gain. But just believe that if some percentage of sold out of NFTs, you transfer automatically to fund of wild nature or charity fund of somewhere. This is the future. So we could do fundraising for projects. If you need new clinic, if you need new, water to Africa, we could do it from NFT because $millions right now, $billions in NFT. This is a free option of society impact.
Yeah, I agree. Jorge.
I think everything comes from use cases. So let's look at 4 or 5 use cases. One I think is very important is the concept of fractionalization. That means individuals are now allowed to invest on something in a very small portion. So it means you can invest in buildings, you can invest in gold, but you can invest $1. You don't have to buy the whole bar or the whole building. So you get the upsell associated with the value of that asset. Other examples is new marketplaces that did not exist before. Today we have blockchain carbon offset marketplaces where we trade carbon credits. That means we're changing the way investment is being done in removing carbon from the economy and introducing newer and cleaner technologies. Blockchain is also a technology of disintermediation, so we no longer need middlemen. And that's where, for example, the NFTs are extremely powerful. NFTs today, the middleman is Google and Facebook. Google or Facebook collect the most money, and the people that create the content, you, the guy that posts the pictures, the guy that writes the stories, you get a very small part, and the guy that puts the advertising gets a small part. They get the bulk. With technologies like NFT and smart contracts, what this allows you to do is that the person who creates the content and the person that consumes the content has a direct relationship with each other, which means that the person that created that content, whether it happens to be a video, an image, a song, or any other electronic content, gets automatic rights to that content every time it either gets used, gets played, or gets transferred, or gets sold or bought. But it goes much beyond that. We have a new capability of building organizations in the decentralized way. And this today is being done using a technology known as DAOs, or decentralized autonomous organizations, so that we're able to distribute roles and responsibilities and rewards for those roles and responsibilities through the rules that are defined in smart contracts. And the last example I want to give you is about saving money in corporations. It's developed actually a local company that implemented one of the smart contracts technologies in supply management with the largest telecom organization in the world. To make a long story short, we now have smart contracts between the supplier of the goods, whether they happen to be PCs, mobiles, spare parts, cellular towers, and the people that actually run the telecom. And the usage of these smart contracts are saving this telecom organization $450 million per year. So what is blockchain here doing? It's removing the paperwork. It's making everything digital. So digital is a technology of acceleration. It allows your business to go faster and allows your business to go faster, consuming less money. That's why you have applications like DeFi and many others, or FinTech, that are replacing the traditional banks that need big buildings and very expensive offices to function, which do not add any value to the bottom line of those businesses. So it's a technology of transformation, and we're just getting started today.
Thank you. Well, that's right, but we're not only getting started today. It's important to recognize that DLT technology was there long before Bitcoin. Long before. I studied DLT technology at the engineering school, and I'm a very old guy, so I can tell you that this goes really way back. Only that it was used for Bitcoin, and we all know the story about it. In that regard, we have well over 4,000, I guess, currencies right now in the market. Much more than that. How many?
7,000.
7,000. That's the updated number. So. But we keep going back to Bitcoin as a reference because that's where we sort of started, all right? And every time Bitcoin does up or down, the other currencies suffered or go up, et cetera, et cetera. So that is really the real deep part of it. And so we have had a situation in the last few months or last year where Bitcoin has gone up and down quite a bit. There's been a lot of crises, as they call it, in my markets. So the question is, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin identity crisis, as some markets describe it, and its prospect as trustless money? And is this an argument of the past, or is this an argument of the future, where we're going to? And I'd like to start perhaps with Jorge here, because he goes deep into these things. So I'd like to know your view of that.
Well, first, I do not believe there is such a thing as a Bitcoin crisis. In the sense, markets go up, markets go down, people speculate, people manipulate the markets. However, the system that was built into Bitcoin is designed to gradually grow over time using an exponential curve, and it's doing that. It's pure mathematics. There is a limited supply, there's more difficulty in generating new Bitcoins. That means you need to use more electricity. So obviously those Bitcoins are going to go up in price. But they're all going to go up in price if two things happen. If people believe in the technology. So adoption is extremely important. That's number one. And number two, there is use cases. If you do not use the technology to do something useful, eventually that technology disappears. So that really means, and this includes Bitcoin itself, Bitcoin being put under the mattress as a technology is not helping anybody. It needs to be used to power investment, to power organizations, to power new functions, whether it's through Lightning networks or other second-layer applications. So the more applications you have, the more value is being generated by whether it's Bitcoin or other digital currencies or other blockchains.
Thank you. Kirill?
So regarding of Bitcoin, a couple years ago I ran my Bitcoin mining farm in Siberia. They are from originally. So cold weather, nice climate, low electricity cost. And why we started? Because we check the code. Each 4 years we have Bitcoin halving, and the network become like not easy to collect, but the old machine disappeared from the market because you need to get reward less for higher power machines. And actually, if you check Bitcoin through 2008 till nowadays, it's always up. So small advice for investor who invest in Bitcoin: invest some small portion each month and wait 5 years. You will be super excited. Not sell it when it dump, not buy when it pump. Just buy as it is. And second solution, if you have already Bitcoin, stake it. Stake it in a trusted solution ecosystem, then you could have extra budget for stake of Bitcoin, you could invest in DeFi, whatever. But please check the whole strategies and do consulting with top guys if you're familiar with someone.
Yeah, Kirill, I fully agree with that. As a matter of fact, we discuss this in my asset management company almost every day. What are we going to do about it? Jane, what's your view on that?
Look, I think these guys have given such great answers, and I already explained to you my failures as a cryptocurrency investor. I think we'll just stick with their advice.
Right, thank you very much. So listen, we're coming to the end of it. We have very little time, so we're not going to be able to go through the 50 questions I have down here. So I'd just like to ask each one of the panel members to conclude with your advice for our audience on this trusted technology. I'll start with Jorge, please.
For me, blockchain is a new operating system. It's a technology to power the new applications of tomorrow by introducing better trust, by introducing better decentralization and better transparency. But it's up to you. You're the ones that are building those applications through creativity, through startups. Technology by itself does not solve problems. It's users who solve problems. So the nice thing about blockchain is that it attracts a lot of minds. And those minds and the financial that comes with those minds, creates a vortex, or it creates a perfect storm. And that's why you see the world being changed in front of your eyes today.
Thank you, Jorge. Kirill, what's your advice for the audience?
So my advice, it's pretty simple. If you have your first money, doesn't invest. If you have your second money, invest in yourself, in reading, in wealth, in buying nice clothes, whatever. If you have your third money, you could invest in crypto, take some Bitcoin, some Ethereum monthly, small portion or 10% of your income. And if you decided to invest in hype project, be sure that you could lose 100%. If you decided to invest in hype projects, just check the team, check the logic, how they impact the market. If they collect money officially through some licensed company, check their license, it's simple. And just Google their names, Google the team.
Thank you very much.
Super
Jane,
easy.
What's your advice?
I think walk away from here with curiosity and with a desire to go and find out more. If you want to be an investor, go and find out more about doing it safely and intentionally. If you want to change the world, go out there and think about this technology, which is changing the world in front of our very eyes. But like I said to you before, make sure that we're doing that with good values and with ethics, and we're creating a world that's better than the one that we have today. But the potential is limitless, and those guys in the next room are building it, so go learn from them.
Thank you very much, Jane. So I'd like to thank dearly Jane, Kirill, and Jorge. As you can see, there's a wealth of knowledge here. There will probably, some of them or all of them, I don't know, at the drinks tonight. Come and talk to them. They have a lot of information for you. I hope this has been of value added to the audience. We thank you very much. Good evening.